one night between 75 years or any length of time. And you would, naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes.
Whoa. Hello, fatal chance. Dance with me. I have to get lit before I fucking hurt myself. Because my chat hates me. And won't let me play video games. My god. I don't have any. No soda? No soda. I'm annoyed now. I'm annoyed at myself for not having soda. Pain. too big. Too big. It is too big. The screen is too big. Pain. All I feel is pain. All my homies feel is pain. Pain. Pain just every day. Pain. 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 While I'm suffering is pain. 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 While it's going with is pain. 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 Ah. I dropped my lid. Now I just gotta wait for people. We can begin the end. In the meanwhile, how's everybody doing? We good? Are we feeling spicy? We feeling spicy? I'm not. Man, this fucking Margaritaville shit is tasty. I have to make sure I buy another bottle of this next time. I'm sitting there waiting on that number to climb. What goes is cringe if people don't see you watching it. Oh god. Fantastic Beasts 3 is an officially titled Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. They are doubling down on that shit. That's horrible. That's pain. Ooh, James and the Giant Peach. A cosplay they do. That is nice. Good for them. What video are we watching today, Carl? Hi, Snake. Well, because y'all motherfuckers want to inflict pain on me, we are watching the last video I planned to watch of Noralities. Since last time on Power Rangers Time Force, when I covered this, and then dropped for a bit, because you don't back-to-back cringe. You just don't do it. That's how you get brain damage. The first video sets up the brain damage, and the second one collects the brain damage. They have released new shit. Depending on how much I hate myself by the end of this, because we AFAP in this, okay? We EFAP in this. We're gonna be here for a bit. I'm imagining whatever fucking dumbass take comes out of this one, which would have been the last one, based on what we know of the first one, it's gonna be even worse. Because remember, in this video, we learn this entire channel exists in spite of male anime YouTubers. And we learn in this one that they realistically just don't understand anime in general. I'm paraphrasing a bunch of notes here. You'd have to go back and watch the last reaction to know. But I don't like anime characters, I assume dumb shit, I only care about female shit, and also I made my channel out of spite. And then I wanted to watch a show with lesbians, but then you put fan service in my characters, and I'm tired of lolly dragons with huge boobies. I don't have good faith going into this. I expect utter sheer obliteration of my brain cells. And the worst part is that this is a reaction. So, we have to whip out our handy dandy tool. Can I hear you say, "Oh, toodles? Oh, toodles"? Oh, there it is. The notepad, which we will need to take notes. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. Oh. I didn't get that motherfucker there. Because you see, the thing that always hurts is it's worse when they say it aloud, right? But as I've learned doing reactions, I have to write down the shit that they say, so that when people come and accuse me, oh no, that's not what they said, I'm like, bro, I'm literally just listening and I'm writing, right? And the places we go, just from the shit that they say, mind-blowing. And I'd say that's pretty good a game amount. That way the cringe just slides right off my brain cells. Fix this view. We're gonna have two cameras today. We have the normal camera, and we have the close-up camera. We're gonna need both. We gonna need both. A lot of hobbies filled with these people, I know. They're all invading my hobbies. How do you think I feel? It's enough to make a man use his normal voice, don't you know? Not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan. I'm absolutely not a fan. Resize them for each screen. Yeah, that'll work. That's fine. Give me angles to work with. Boss man, I need highlights. I'm giving you my angles. Also, never make me say I'm giving you my angles ever again. Never again. I'm giving you my angles, darling. Yes. How's this one? How's this one? How's this one? Bitter woman makes my YouTube channel. Wow. Shocker. I'm completely surprised. I never would have expected it. Yeah. Alright. I procrastinated enough waiting for you all. First highlight right there. Look, you can leave the fucking shit running, and I'm pretty sure you can get like 10 clips out of one stream. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Alright, let's...
Okay. Off with the music. On with the cringe. Ugh. One for the money. Two for the grind. Three for the cringe. It's reaction time. Smooth braiding.
let's talk about problematic media. Content warning mentions and discussions of the sexualization of
Content warning for sexualization of children. Because she's never gonna let that go. Child pornography. Which I find strange. So where that's gonna be here. That's a note. That's noteworthy, but I'm not writing it down. Because I've already written that down before. Of course, she's going to assume that characters that are designed for fan service, that look petite, are going to constantly be child-coded. We're just gonna have to get over it. It's not worth writing down. Because it's not a criticism. It's just what they have to say now. They have to say specific words. Have to be nice and neat and formatted. Because if she doesn't say that, she'll be cancelled. Pedophilia. Death threats. Rape and sexual assault. Sexual harassment. Now this one's new. Transphobia. I can't think to this date a single anime that is transphobic. And even when it comes up to the trans argument, if they're not talking about Zombie Wonderland, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The little boy who wants to dress like a girl, that one. It's just right off the skull. Right off the skull. Right off the skull. Doesn't mean anything. But I gotta pause here so you can see what they consider to be most important for us to know.
children, child pornography, pedophilia, death threats, rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, and transphobia. I'm going to be talking about some of these issues at length, and I'm going to try and not show anything graphic, but I may have to include a few shots of anime or manga.
If you don't show anything graphic, and you don't demonstrate what your point is, it means you don't have a point.
Of children being sexualized in the beginning section, so please be warned of that. So my last video on child-coded character design ended up being...
Okay. Yes, she's doing the thing already. Alright, so. Where's my font? I added all the fonts. Come on, I want my font. Give me my font. Shining Force. Yes, give me my font. Wonderful. Now make it bigger. 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 Enough that it's legible to the audience. Now make it oblique. Yes. That's too big though. I made it too big. Too big. That is too big. And that will do. Number 1. I had a shit take. People didn't like it. People didn't like it. I had a shit take. People didn't like it. Here's an idea. Stop saying stupid shit that people know is wrong. Because people are going to consistently call you out when you're wrong. No matter what. Just don't lie. I don't know how many times I have to say this fucking thing. Maybe that needs to be a meme. Maybe that needs to be a highlight. Maybe that should be a Carl post. Stop lying. The more you lie, the worse it gets. People watch these things. People watch these animes. People watch these shows. People watch these movies. The more you lie and insist, actually, they've child-coded this character because they're actually undercover pedophilics. No, they're not. That's why the Katakara president had to fucking pay restitutions and donate part of his salary. because he affected the fucking pay line of the fucking company. Although I suppose that to someone like Noralities, them being held accountable for their inability to recognize that they are going to lose subscriber, literally, that they're going to lose subscriber and lose business in anime when they refuse to give the customer what they want. I suppose that would just be the upholding of the patriarchy. Now, I have the ability to look at Twitter when I'm at work, so I will occasionally scout for material, right? But in scouting for my material, I came across a series of interview talks that were written amongst screenwriters, and I was watching one specifically from excuse me, there's the alcohol. Or getting burpy. I saw a talk from or several of them actually, I think 4 of them in total, of talks from screenwriter Jack Grapes. Really very popular playwright in Hollywood. And one of the biggest things that he said with these talks, which I can actually show you because I'm a streamer and I know how to do my job. Aha! Jack Grapes. One of the ones that I watched specifically a lot of the times was these. One of the ones that specifically stuck out to me was this one, what the audience wants more than anything else. I'll summarize for you, effectively. He talks to the interviewer and gets her to go straight through an argumental line of what's done in writing, which is digging to the deeper truth, right? He starts out with a statement of intent, and then summarize it down and down and down until you get to the point where you don't hear or see the problem, you feel it. You know, it's like you've been really thinking, and it comes with the topic of the other side of it. It is the seeing the problem from the other angle, not the flip side of it, but the other problem. So if you say something like, I've been really thinking, you know, if I've been really thinking about my life, you dumb it down the statement, you remove the other bullshit, because that's what we consider in writing what's called a birthday cake. It's nice, fluffy language that people like to consume, and it looks good and it sounds nice, but it's not the deep truth of it. So, I've been really thinking, and the flip side of I haven't been really thinking is I haven't been living. Because the flip side of thinking is that you are doing an action that does not cause an action, right? If you're thinking, you're not doing. So I've been really thinking that I haven't been really living. And the deeper truth of that is I'm stuck. And how do you feel about what you were doing when you were stuck? And the goal of it is that it's an exercise to get to the bottom where you're like, oh shit. And the oh shit is the point. You put yourself in the emotional state and you write from there. Because the point of what does the audience want more than anything else is emotion, depth, wrath. Or more importantly, just summarize down, blood. They want blood, sweat, and tears, and pain. And you give it to them. Period. That was his summation from Film Courage, right? Knowing that about anime, what can we say anime fans want more than anything else in existence when they go to watch the anime that they choose to watch? This is not a trick question. Don't think too hard about it, chat. Don't worry about not knowing the answer. I can tell you what the answer is here, right? But just random shots, chat. What do you think anime fans want when they go to watch anime, right? Doesn't matter what anime genre they're watching. If they go to watch anime, what do they want to see? To be entertained? Good answer. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Titty. Close, but that's fan service. That'd be an answer if it was just fan service, but no. What does an anime fan want to see when they have selected what genre they want to watch? If nobody else gives an answer, we're gonna have to go with Dark Knight Graves' answer. Stop lying campaign in the same vein of Stop Snitching. Hi. Wait. Hi. I'm SinglePlayerCarl. Do you know somebody who just can't stop fucking lying? Here at the Carl Institute, we teach them the steps to be able to integrate into their lives the understanding of stop fucking lying. On the plan of stop fucking lying, we can learn how to be able to handle things in life and we don't start coping about it. Nobody else wants to take a crack at it? No, that's okay. When people watch anime, they want to see the anime they wanted to fucking watch. Period. If I go and I pick a mecha anime, I want to see mecha anime shit. I mean, British Knight's kind of close. If I take British Knights to be entertained, and I take his tropes and pineapple pen, yeah, kind of. Or watch an anime that's about shonen, I want to see a shonen anime, right? If I sit down to watch Dai's Adventure, I want to see Dragon Quest Dai's Adventure. I don't want to see some fucking feminist interpretation of Dai's Adventure. I want Dai's Adventure. If I sit down and I watch Mirai Nikki, I want to watch Future Diary. Not Funimation's interpretation of what Future Diary is telling me through their political spiel. I want Future Diary. Right? Now, keep that in mind. Hold it close. Put it right here. You're going to need it for the next thing that she's about to say. I have not seen this, by the way. I'm just making predictions. We've watched 2 of these, and she kind of has a pattern. She leans in with what we call a birthday cake, and then she just says some dumb shit, and then she leaves it behind. We're going to make her pick it up, okay?
Design ended up being...
That was the birthday cake. This is shit. So, I had a shit take where I decided to accuse people of watching this show of being pederasts. Because how dare you like ecchi anime? No, you're not allowed. You can't be able to look at Kana because no, you're not allowed to lose the dragon lolly. But at the same time, we can't have Lulu out here with volcano tits because that makes me feel bad too. Because real women exist, but they only exist when they're allowed for me. It's really weird that the male gaze only really exists when feminists want it to look at them. And the only time that the male gaze is a problem is when it won't look at them. Right? Because that was her entire spiel. She had a whole section dedicated to the differences of how Lulu is not a woman, but La Brava is, because we know she's of age. She's just diminutive. Okay, but what does the short stack midget have to do with that? This normal answer. Well, the follow-up to that is, I had a shit take.
But I may have to include a few shots of anime or manga of children being sexualized in the beginning section, so please be warned of that. So, my last video on child-coded character
So I had a
design
dumb take, and I said stupid shit. And what happened is, I reaped the consequence of saying stupid shit.
being...
This is why women shouldn't be anime YouTubers. I'm gonna lewd the lolly, you can't do shit about it. Don't lewd the lollies. I can do as I please, especially if it's perfectly legal and harms no one. You should probably tell the original artist of Dragon made that, considering the large collection of hentai works that involve drawing shotas drowning in the breasts of all pie lollies. The comments on this video are gross. Jesus fucking Christ. Ad hominem. If all you can do is throw insults without any substance or actual counter-arguments, why should anyone listen to you? No Noralities. Let's not actually address that, right? I had a shit take where I said I'm tired of watching animes with fan service when I go in there specifically to get my fucking jollies of lesbian dragon sex, and I end up tripping over all this fan service. Somebody tells you, no bro, that's not an actual addressment of a problem. Like, I don't care. Like, just watch the show. If you don't want to watch the show, go away. Like, avert your eyes. But your defense of that is, lol, look at these mans. Because that's what you're doing here. You're putting these comments on screen, and I guess I can give her credit for removing the handle, but it doesn't fucking matter. It's still not an argument. You're putting them on screen and you're saying, look at this man, look at him, gaze upon him, look at this man, look, actual human beings! Fucking unacceptable, no matter how you spin it. Then to point out this is the same person who applied like 40 separate comments like this, why didn't you show the other comments? You're already putting them on the spot, so why not do the deference of at least applying all the other arguments and phrase? We're already here. You're already doing it. Commit to the bit. What? Did he have arguments that you didn't want to see? Because you decided it wasn't worth it? I could go hunt these down, but I feel that at that point it'd be pedantic to do so. Because I don't need to. Because you don't have a point. You're just saying it to be mad. Which, I guess, you can be upset that somebody had opinions that you disagreed with, and instead of addressing them in the moment, you decided to address them with an entirely new video. But considering the fact that there are multiple YouTubers, including Dr. Ramarikam, who do this on a regular basis, who know how to address people, and at least give context to their arguments. Play them out in full. Why don't they? Examples being positive loathing. A video that came about after the Take It Back video that he made. At the start of celebrities hoping that they could be able to get jobs. He does an entire puppet show where he'll go through the fucking comments and address people or persons individually and collectively as a whole and tell them, listen, you probably don't want to keep arguing that. And he'll actually argue with them back and forth until he gets to a point to address the fact that they just didn't have a point at all. They were trying some gobbledygook like you're doing. I mean, this is what you're doing. This is what you think you're doing. This is what you want to pretend you're doing. If you're already doing it, why not do it? It's literal content. This is 38 minutes and 52 seconds of a man using puppets to illustrate how stupid people are. If you're gonna do the same damn thing, don't remove the handles. Let them have attention. Give them all the attention they deserve. They're adults. But I guess you won't do that. You ascribe to the fact that you're a person with a large platform, so you have to be responsible of who you platform. Which isn't a bad thing to do. Not a bad tactic to have. You should be cautious of what you choose to signal boost and what you don't. But since this is supposed to be you criticizing things, since you're supposed to hold yourself as an intellectual who sat down and thought about it, wouldn't you want to address the opinions that would make you be inspired to write? It should be your thesis statement, because this is what you started out with. We're not even a minute into the video yet. Why am I saying this? Why does this matter? Since you're putting it in front of me, it must matter. It was something that annoyed you enough to put it on screen. So let's go here. Pull up the thread. Pull up the thread, let it unravel, and let's see who's right and who's wrong. Since you won't do this, I have to assume this is just set up to say, look at him. And then we just keep going. Stupid. This one. Right there.
Fine. Ended up being...
Maybe don't show a fire because you know the artist the dragon made died in a fire. The director of the first season is the one that died, along with many over KyoAni employees. The author of Dragon Maid is still alive. I see. Okay, that's not relevant, though. That's literally not relevant to your discussion. They thought that the artist to the manga died in the fire. You know, the KyoAni fire that was done by a terrorist who wanted to terrorize them. And you somehow stuck this in here as though it's a criticism of you saying, damn, lollies, though. But why you? This video is why anime becoming mainstream is a huge mistake. This video is one giant, hysterically bad take that doesn't take basic things into consideration, like the cultural differences between America and Japan, and uses fundamentally flawed concepts like the coded character theory, to which anyone with half a brain realizes is obvious bullshit. Get that man some titty! He's right. But you see, you put him in here with his fake ass green sleeves and you say, look. I've already done the bit. It is dumb. Let's keep going. Bruh, want to change on controversy, start being an actual artist and stop making opinion videos. Actually, he's 100% correct. 100% correct. Because this is just your opinion, right? At the end of the day, you make these as takes, as analyses, where you present them as pseudo-intellectual gobbledygook that looks like it is well thought out when it's really not, because we partake of these things, so you say stupid shit, and then people fact-check you, and then it's like, no, don't you correct me? Here, I'm going to put you on a t-shirt by putting you in the top of this fucking screen. And it's like, no. Because he's right. You going to the section of anime that loves to be unrealistic and saying, this doesn't reflect reality, is really dumb. It's even worse to double down and say, and that's why women need to make specific shit as anime for television, and so I can watch it. Don't dare make mangas. I know those mangas exist, but I need to see it in front of me. I don't like your hating. Why would I support the projects that I want to watch when I should just be able to watch them in video format? It's time to make gatekeeping great again. You're not a Vine Puritan. Honestly. Based. You're white, gatekeeping is a good thing. Based! It's incredibly tiring to see people whine and cry over a goddamn design on a cartoon that's not ever meant to be pedophilic in any way. It's seriously annoying to see people still complain about this sort of thing. Based!
I don't want to say popular because that feels wrong.
But it did receive a larger response than I'm used to. First of all, I did.
I received more backlash as I became more notorious. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. I misspelled that word. Received. You would still hear me anyways. You cut out half the goddamn wall, Ma. Oh my god. My voice is powerful and I'm carrying into the cell phone call she's making. You need me to shut my door, but you won't shut your door. Curious! I received more backlash as I made more notoriously bad videos. Semicolon. And that's on you, the chud. Oh, god damn it. Oh, god damn it. God damn it. God damn it. One of these needs to be a 1. Then the joke is complete. We're not even a full minute in yet. A
lot of comments from people being genuinely happy that I talked about this. And to all those people, thank you. I'm touched beyond belief, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
Are we gonna see any of those comments, Noralities? Are we gonna see any of the comments that support you? Am I gonna have to go looking for them? I'm not looking for them. I know they exist, but I'm not going looking for them.
Your kindness and support makes this all worth it.
Oh. My legs. I have drank... What percentage of this would be a fifth? From the lip to the top, I'd say that's about a third. I've drank a third of a margarita, and already, it's not even helping. Not even helping. Maybe chat real quick. Deconstructing. Visual aids are key to a good video essay. They must be relevant and clearly displayed. If you fail this, then it's very hard for people to relate to what you're talking about. For a good example, you must be child code with all these head ass takes. Why is criticism of its dog shit take always considered harassment? Oh, that's actually an easy answer, Snake. It's easy, right? So, let's say, I wish I had bought just one whiteboard for this. Jay, I'm buying a whiteboard and you can't stop me. So, when a person says a headache, oh, no, actually, no, I can easily demonstrate this. Hold on. I'm gonna demonstrate this in real time, okay? Because this is the reason why I record shit the way that I record shit. This is great. This is wonderful. I'm glad this shit happens. So, here's how harassment works. Supposedly. Alright? A user creates bullshit and lies. Sets up an entire situation where they decide to address an opinion, but instead of telling the truth, they lie about it. Throughout the entirety of a video, they go through it, they say bullshit, they don't even cover shit in real time, they refuse to actually address the person, they don't even say the name of the person, and they present it as something other than what it is. They make up bullshit arguments that don't actually address their points. And then at the end of the video, they somehow summarize how this person is an internet villain by choosing to go over the person's tweets and presenting them as somehow a villain. The user in question finds out that they have addressed them, and so they take the time that is necessary to undo a fucking mistake. The mistake is shorter than the time necessary to correct the problem. But the obvious issue is very obvious from the second you sit down and actually look at it. In real time, when a person is addressed, what actually they mean when they say, actually, you're harassing me, is you're not supposed to fight back. You're not allowed to win. You're not supposed to know that I did this. So, Mr. Man, shut up! That's what they mean when they say, I was harassed. And that's how dumb it is. That's how dumb it is. Right? Let's go to the video view. That's easier. I made a video where I chose to get mad about isekai anime. I berated the entire topic and the entire section for what I consider it to be. And then I doubled down on that, saying that people who watch these shows are actually fucking pederasts because they think that these characters who look like kids to me are fuckable, and ergo are pedophiles. And god damn it, they feel so bad about that they came and they showed their opinions. And look at these people. Look at what they said to me. These are actual human beings. This is the same level of dumb shit that we see on Twitter. But in the case that I'm going to show you, this is usually what happens when the person who instigates it does it. Because people tell them, hey, stop doing that thing. You don't need to act like this. You don't need to do this. You don't need to be like this. Be normal. Please, be normal. And then they don't listen to you. They block you before you have the ability to ever speak to another human being outside of the echo chamber. And then, where I got it from, they say, over your comments, actual human beings. When they get to do it to you, it's just criticism. I'm just giving my opinions. What? Why are you mad? I'm just laughing. It's so dumb to me. Why would I ever address it? When you do it to them, I'm so attacked. It's just an opinion. Why would you let me have an opinion? It's just a joke. It's just a phrase. It's just a meme. There's plenty of cases where this happens, but assuming that I have people in my audience who haven't been inoculated, prepare yourself. You're about to see a fucking master at work.
I never get pussy. I never got any pussy.
Different subject topic, but exact same thing. music playing behind themselves, and it's just this.
Too nice. I'm always so nice to the girls. And they just end up dating these guys. And they're terrible to them. They never give me pussy. I really.
It's monotony. It's literal insanity. For the crime of having an opinion, somebody else decides to take my opinion and makes me sacrosanct. For the crime of having a dumbass opinion that everybody sees and knows is wrong, they will never address the actual point. It will always be, no, they harassed me because they didn't let me lie. Why the fuck you lying? Bitch, why the fuck you lying? Oh my god. Just stop fucking lying. It'll make things easier for you. Because if you listen when we tell you something, and you actually address it and you say, okay, I thought this, but then this user laughed at me on his timeline, and even though I didn't like him laughing at me, he had some points. I can't say that about any of my critics, because they can't stop lying! Catch them in 46 fucking K! Dead ass! And they just won't stop. There's no way. There's no human existence. There is no reality. There is no reality in which you can run back what you said after I've caught you in real time, right? Because that's the entire reason this exists. Oh my god. A person accuses me of being banned on a website after they literally, for hours, spend time harassing and actually berating me about shit that doesn't exist. All after the literal 4 hours to 10 hours after I recorded. So, since you won't stop lying, I put the first lie, I put the second lie, and then I go live for 5 minutes just to laugh at you, because you're that dumb. Within 10 minutes of the tweet where they said it. Do they address this? No. Do they admit that this was wrong? No. It's just cope. It's all just cope. It's cope when they do it about anime, and it's definitely cope. Video, please. Thank you. It's cope when they do it about video games. It's cope when they do it about anime. It's cope when they do it about politics. It's cope about anything else. Because if they actually say the words that the people who are criticizing them say, they don't have an argument. Because it's all just braggadocio. It's ad hominem and braggadocio. As long as they just keep saying words, they can just, like, move on to the next topic. But if you snatch them back and, like, no, show your work, explain what you mean. When they actually show their work and explain what they mean, it's like, bro, you're measuring the heads of characters. This was the one that actually sent me about this one that Noralities made the last time, right? Why would you say this and think that this ever makes you look good? Because you just now acknowledged there are people in my audience who are hate watchers who disagree with me on principle. So I'm going to single them out for persecution, feeding them to my audience, unironically, as Emmanuel Goldstein's for the 2 minutes of hate, so I can say, listen, I'm a virtuous person. How virtuous am I? Look! Fresh meat! How are you going to go forward with this behavior and think that this makes you look anything other than a fucking meandering creator? So if this is the opinion you have about the people you claim don't like you, to the point that you'll remove their names, what happens if I go back and I look up who said them? What if one of them is another woman? What if it's another woman anime YouTuber? What if it's one of the people that you claimed you disliked? What if all the comments, just for argument's sake, came from nothing but male anime YouTubers? I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Joey the Anime Man. I don't care if it's Mother's Basement. I don't care if it's fucking Lachlan. Pedantic romantic for people who don't know that Lachlan is his first name and he's a transgender. He, I don't care right now. Let's assume any of those comments came from any of them. If you presented those comments, but then turned to an audience of women and said, listen, your support has been wonderful and great, but then 2 or 3 of the ones that follow up after they see this is them going back, looking up, and let's say Sitsnap, for no reason whatsoever. Not from outside influence, but just from seeing this and being told, hey, this exists. Sees what you say and says, listen, I understand you have your opinion, but I disagree with you respectfully. This doesn't make sense. I can enjoy my anime, and I don't have to have all these opinions and feel like this the way that you do. And then you do the exact same thing to her. What do you do then? Because you're doing this specifically to cater to a female audience. You've said that with your lips. Knowing this, you're already being disingenuous. I can't expect that you'd be honest moving forward from there. So you've already tainted the fucking well. Then on top of feeding me tainted water, you then put shit in it! It's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. Let me catch up the chat. But does anybody really want to watch Mirai Nikki? I do. I like Mirai Nikki. It starts to wear itself thin, but it's just there. Remember the time Funimation completely erased the lesbian relationship in Dragon Maid? I do. Tell the literal kindergartner in Dragon Maid who wants to fuck. This is why women shouldn't be anime YouTubers. Based user right here. Hey Carl, hi Moonbane. Coded equals stereotypes. Every comment is based. Every comment is based. Another clip. No, notorious. Notoriously garbage. Her avatar is 80% girl next. Yeah, I guess. Girl next door hentai bait. Maybe. See, you say that about this one, but the problem is with another video that she has on her channel. She changed her character's designs to have overalls. I think she just does it for a frame in this one, but then she uses it in the other one. Right there.
The Sailor Wars, which if you aren't
right there. Comparing between, I don't need this and I don't need this. Comparing between this and this is what I expect every single they them to wear. Because as I've been using TikTok and I've been looking and downloading videos from there, the ones that are worthy to be posted on Twitter, this is a very common outfit for them to wear. And it's because it allows them to cover the bosom. Like, every single one of them. They all have the button-up fucking shirt and then an overshirt that goes on top of it. And it's almost always a fucking sweater. Cottagecore to the max. And then, when they feel like being sapphic, they wear, again, the fucking collar neck, but then overalls on top. I mean, for me, this is a very feminine outfit. It's like if a dude wanted to wear short-cut clothing that shows his muscles, but then on top of it, he chose to wear a jumpsuit just because he didn't want to have to put on pants. That's something I do commonly. That's himbo behavior. So technically, comparison, that's a bimbo costume. Granted, it's drawing, but my point still stands. The drawing doesn't really matter at this point, because, you know, the person behind the drawing is still saying stupid shit. Doesn't make me pop no boner. She needs to fix her chest, and it's all if you swell, but the anatomy's off. Not surprised she doesn't know anatomy. Next time I visit, I need to make you some real drinks. Not this again. Jay! They didn't want to play video games, so now I have to do a presentation. I don't have a choice. I'm legally obligated to react to cringe. Carl, I have arrived. Hello. Stop lying. Start bullying. Like, no cap, but I've never been able to tell if a guy in question is a guy or a girl. Collarbones and hips. Collarbone and hips. My elbow was peeled. We've decided to see other people. No more bang. 22 minutes for life is cringe. I'm gonna count the big S. Protected card status. Is stream in for anyone else or nah? Nah. It's cut used to commercials. Thank you, Snake. I thought I had offended Twitch. We all offended Twitch. We all offended Twitch.
certainly didn't with the last video. So here's my follow-up statement to the Dragon Maid video, I guess. I know it seems silly to keep talking about this and like I'm wasting my time, but I genuinely want to believe that most of the people who disagree with me are not acting with malicious intent, but are just simply misinformed or maybe a bit confused. If you are willing to take the time to actually listen to my side and then you still disagree with me, then that's all I can ask. Because there is no conversation at all if you're not even willing to engage in the first place. So
Oh! Is there, Nora? I never could have guessed!
before you start writing a comment on this video, I want you to really take some time to think critically about which side of this argument you want to land on. The reason I
Think about what side of the argument you want to land on, guys. Don't you know Rurouni Kenshin's author unironically bought and used his series credits to be able to buy child porn? Fucking yawn! Fucking yawn, woman. Fucking yawn. What happened from Art versus Arthur? I guess only when it's acceptable and allowed, right? Unironically, that's how it works. It is literally okay for them to whip it out whenever it's acceptable. And then when they decide to get more authoritarian, they do away with the argument so they can justify destroying things. It is the worst part of the fucking puritanical book burning, and I do not care for it. It is not an argument.
brought up the author of Rurouni Kenshin not facing jail time or even being fired for his possession of roughly 100 DVDs of real child porn, like not anime, actual human children, was because he is not the exception to the rule in Japan, he's kind of the standard. The possession of child pornography only became totally illegal in Japan in 2015. Charges for possession include
Fucking yawn. Why are we here?
imprisonment for up to 1 year and being fined up to 1 million yen, which is just under 9,000 US dollars. He was fined 200,000 yen, or less than $2,000. To everyone who commented about the sexualization of child characters in anime having no real world harm and that it's just a part of Japan's
No, that is not how that argument works, Nora, and I'm going to lay out to you why it does not. Okay? Wrong tab. When I had to sit, well, not when I had to sit down, when I decided it would be funny to sit down and watch Cuties, one of the things that is very apparent and became very apparent to me when it was made was that it was a piece of bullshit put together specifically to make a person feel pain non-stop. I get a good clip of it on screen. For the workforce, just in case there was any person who wanted to doubt me and what I'm about to say. When I worked for my government and my federal State Department as a working as an ex-fed. When I worked for the State Department as a fucking fed, and my job was to entrap men and women and take them to court and put them in jail for child pornography and for abusing minors. One of the things we had to ensure was the understanding that fictional characters does not equal real-world violence. The reason why is because when you decide to skirt the line of, actually, the pictures are not the problem, and then you pull out Rurouni Kenshin, what you're telling me is that you agree with the behavior. Oh, get on my face. What you're telling me is that you agree with the behavior of platforming child porn on your website as concurrently of the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th month of this fucking year. Technically, this didn't blow up until July and June, so realistically, 7 months of the year, admitting that there is child porn on your website right fucking now! That is still being allowed because, number 1, Twitter is ass and is a hell site. Number 2, they decide they want to skirt the line between publisher and platform and want to be able to say when they're allowed to do it, when they're not allowed to do it. And number 3, most importantly, you believe that bitching about anime characters is comparable to the real life pain of having to sit down and find a person who is guilty of a crime, confirm that the data exists on their fucking hard drive, seize the computer, and start collating logs and logs and archives of mega threads and terabytes of porn. So you have to sit in front of a stand, in front of juries, usually sitting next to a goddamn parent and their child, bawling tears out of their fucking face. And you, sitting there at the stand saying, yes, sir, this anime picture here of this woman. Hold on, bigger screen. Yes, sir. This anime screen here. Yes, sir, right here, right here. This picture right here of Widowmaker. That's just like when your daughter was getting railed by Mr. Jeffrey Sullivan. Isn't that right, jury? We all have the picture here. Let's play it again for evidence. Click. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me. That gets the blood boiling every time. Okay? It gets the blood boiling every time. You not sit there and say, I care about kids. You're not thinking about the kids. You're exposing kids to horrible shit when you are literally bitching about something in the wrong direction. I wake up every day knowing I can't fight you motherfuckers. If only I could show you. If only I could show you what I've seen. You would understand why I choose genocide! And that's every single argument. Every single one. Every single one. Every single one is you saying, ugh, titties! Sometimes we get tired of hearing, ugh, titties. For once, we'd like it to be about something that's actually meaningful. And to watch somebody whip out Rurouni Kenshin yet again for easy clout means you don't care about kids. You don't care about kids. You don't care about people abusing kids. You don't care about the real child pornography sex trade, which happens in plain fucking sight in front of you. You don't care about any of that. You care about winning on the internet. I'm so sorry. Winning internet points doesn't unfuck Astara, okay? It doesn't unfuck the dick out of their vagina. It doesn't unmake the porn that captures their agony that will be replayed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, victimizing them every single time someone presses play. It is never going to be equal. Shut up. Let's continue. God damn it, I clicked off the screen, now I can't see on my mouse.
Culture, I would like to inform you of the increasing rates of child abuse, which includes sexual abuse, that Japan has been experiencing, reaching record-breaking heights for the last 29 years in a row, all while American child abuse rates have been on the decline. To everyone bringing up Japan's age of consent, sure, at 13, Japan's base age of consent is the lowest of any developed country.
He's still talking about the child age of consent. Don't change, Carl. No matter what hoes say, never change. I will never stop choosing violence. Although I will have to start choosing the instrument of my violence.
However, many prefectures also have local corruption of minors or obscenity statutes, which raise the de facto age of consent.
I would fast forward through this, but I can't, because I need to make sure everybody hears every single goddamn word of what she's saying. And also, this is the reason why I watch videos when I research them on double time. I'm not sitting here for the full length of your content. I'm not gonna do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. When they're talking like this, I can't fucking do it.
To 16 to 18. The effective age of consent in Tokyo by local statute is 18.
Also, keep in mind, the best part of this is not me whiling. It's people saying, wait, Carl's an ex-fed? Yes. Yes.
And it's not like this is an issue that is set in stone either. It can be changed. In November 2020, students submitted a petition to raise the age of consent from 13 to 16, which received 40,000 signatures. Arguing that it's fine because it's not technically illegal in Japan should mean nothing to you. I can guarantee from my video analytics that at least 44% of you are from the United States. Like 100 people living in Japan clicked on my video, which is like 0.01%. They are not the people I am trying to talk to here. You cannot use...
You're trying to talk to feminists who believe that they have the same opinions, which is the same reason why on your channel, whenever you talk about any dumbass thing you choose to talk about, in your playlist, you still have video essays by women. You're trying to talk to other women who already think like you, which I don't care for. Fuck them. If they won't stand up to talk about problems like this, which many of them will claim, oh, well, absolutely, that's the same thing. You gotta sit down. Because if you're willing to stand up for this, but you're gonna sit down and bitch about this, what are you good for?
cultural differences as a defense when part of that culture also ends up hurting people. Media does not exist in a vacuum, and portraying sexualized child characters in any media normalizes the sexualization of children to the audience. Why do you think so many of you can't even see this as a problem? It's because anime has normalized it to you.
No, anime has not normalized petite women to me. What normalized petite women to me was the South. And even then, while I'm surrounded by a bunch of cousin fuckers sometimes, I don't fuck my cousins. Huh! It's weird how I don't take up the values of the things that I'm living around. For some people, it is normal to them. And for some people, they do have warped brains. But, and I want you to pay attention to this when I say this, if you ever see this in the future, Nora, read my big-ass niggardly lips. Niggardly. Not the other word, niggardly. Some is not all. And all is not the same as some. Stop generalizing the people you accuse of crimes. People don't like being accused of being criminals.
And also, none of this matters anyway, because guess what I found out after making the Dragon Maid video? The author, Cool Kyoshinja, has drawn at least 5 comics of child porn, so there is literally no point.
5 comics of child porn. Dojins. In a field where this is common for people to do. Hey, did anybody remember that Rebecca Sugar drew Ed, Edd, and Eddy? Oh, damn! I guess we can't watch Steven Universe anymore, can we? Womp womp.
Point in defending this person, one of which is 194 pages in length. Do you know how long it takes?
Oh man, I went looking for hentai and I found hentai that is not official canon of something that is fictional that I can close my eyes about. God damn it, it's so goddamn horrible. I'm literally quimmering. I'm queeming.
Takes to draw nearly 200 pages of anything? This is a theme in Dragon Maid for a reason. This isn't even a matter of possession. This guy is producing and distributing comics of child porn. And look, I know doujinshi or hentai of child porn aren't illegal in Japan. This guy has not done anything that I know of that could be met with legal action. And even in America, when it comes to drawn child porn, it's a little...
It's legal in Japan, and also, it is a cultural norm for them. But I live in the West, so I need to find a way to farm clout off this. That's not worth writing down, but that's what you just said.
Messy, right? In 2005, in Richmond, Virginia, Dwight Worley was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his possession of child porn, including hentai, digital photos of real children, and graphic text-based emails. Among the arguments in his appeal was that cartoons are protected under the First Amendment because they do not depict real children. He also claims the statute is unconstitutional because text-only emails cannot be obscene. 2 judges rejected those arguments. A third agreed with Worley on those issues, but joined in the majority in affirming his convictions on the counts pertaining to the photographs. The Protect Act of 2003 includes the possession of anime or manga that portrays children in sexual activities as a prosecutable offense.
That is retarded, and that should be a law that should be reduced and restricted, if not outright repealed. Hey, anybody know about the fact that Sarah Wiedenchef... Oh, you're gonna roll when I show you this. High five, pass Carl. Anybody aware of the fact that Sarah Wiedenchef's brother is guilty of the crime of having child porn on his computer? And that she attempted to create a GoFundMe to get him the money to be able to stand up to legal trial? If you didn't know this, I'm about to show you the evidence. It's about to be right here. From the archives that I put together when the Vic Magona versus Funimation and Corporation LLC for the tune of 1.1, I think 1.6 now, $1 million was starting its pretrial arc before it went to deposition. Sarah Wiedenchef's brother was guilty of this crime, and she wanted to try and cover this up. She started talking shit, and it was extremely bad. Fast forward to boop down here. Articles being written about this as it was happening in real time. She is the voice actor for Toru in the English dub. It leaves a sour taste in your mouth. A little bit yogurty, a little bile just starts by here and just feels bad, right? It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse! It gets worse! Not only do I have the recording of the news report, Not only do I have it, not only do I have the proof that the Funimation, that the funding existed, not only do I have her announcing people thanking her for trying to get her fees paid for her brother, not only did she get crucified for this, not only did she get crucified for this, but she doubled down! Literally. It is okay when we do it. If this was a reason for you to look at Funimation strange, side-eyed, and stop giving them your money, especially now that Funimation and Crunchyroll is one company, if you didn't have a reason before, you're welcome!
The Supreme Court held that virtual child pornography was protected free speech, provided that the virtual depictions are not obscene. Obscenity, including obscene depictions of children, either virtual or real, is unprotected speech. Kobayashi's death.
Also, to cover my ass, because I know there's going to be somebody who's going to clip this out of context. Yes! A person trying to defend her pederast brother after being caught and verified to be guilty of the crime, while also being of the same circle of people who for years claimed that a man was a fucking harasser and virtual abuser, while also using their politics to try and change the medium that they're talking about, is very relevant to a person talking about this anime and claiming that they are a part of it. Because if that is the problem, why did they choose to work in the company that makes the shit that they are now doing for? Why brag about it? Why defend it? Why not go after this wherever you see it? Because I've seen the shit! I've seen the interactions between reviewers and commentators, and they have shown that they think in lockstep. If I were to show you all of them, we'd be wasting time, but hey, I guess you're just gonna have to go to this thing that I'm about to throw inside of the fucking chat and look it up for yourselves. I guess that's the thing that's gonna happen. I wonder how people would do that. Oh no! There it goes! It's out there! Anyways, moving on.
Dragon Maid has a story. It depicts and frames children in sexual situations, but it is not porn. It would not be classified as obscene. But because his doujins depict children having sex with adults, those would be considered obscene, and they would not be protected under free speech. I'm not going to pretend I know.
Anybody else notice what I just saw? She just threw it out real quick. It's right there.
It has a story.
Wait for
It depicts and frames children in sexual situations,
Look for
but
it.
it is not porn. It would not be classified as obscene. But because his doujins depict children having sex with adults, those would be considered obscene, and they would not.
Considered a scene in America. Can we just get, can we get a frame of that? Hold on.
Not be protected under free speech. I'm not going.
That's not the one I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Making me mad at that frame, chat.
To pretend I know what this guy's deal is. I don't know what's in his heart. But the mere sexual attraction to children is enough to be classified as a pedophile. It does not matter if they have actually engaged in a criminal act or not. I think it is important to note that as of 1968, pedophilia is listed in the APA as a mental disorder, which would make it not a choice but a diagnosis. However, I'm not sure how much faith to put in that, considering how.
Damn, looks like Noralities is gonna go to failure for possession for distribution. Lol. Oh shit, we have receipts. You know I have receipts. I found what I searched for. Oh no. Some people say Rebecca was just a teenager when she drew it, even though she drew the art in 2007 when she was 20 years old. Yeah. It always gets worse. That's a fucking peanut head. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Damn, looks like possessing. I read that one already.
Enormously under-researched this issue is, and considering that homosexuality was also listed as a mental disorder until 1973, and that being transgender was only...
Please stop confusing your arguments, Nora. Stay on track. Stay on task. You're currently trying to berate your potential audience by telling them how bad pedophilia is. It reminds me of the fucking tweet that I saw earlier today before I got back home. A little bit of a fun subway. Sorry, wait me. A user, this one, claims Cobain died 2 months after the release of Alcohol, 2 months after the release of Ace Ventura, 1 month after Nathan Gunn, 33 and 1/3, 5 months after Mrs. Doubtfire, 2 years after The Crying Game, 3 years after Silence of the Lambs. The early 90s was a really, really bad time to have trans thoughts and feelings. And even here, we can see the pattern. But more importantly, really just analyze that statement, right? Kurt Cobain had mental issues, yes. He was very depressed and very disillusioned with life. However, let's go through it. Ace Ventura. Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. Using, at the time, topical jokes about sexuality and gender. Or just sight gags. There's a meme comic for this, right? A person goes back to try and watch 90s films and they're like, oh my god, wow, the 90s was pretty homophobic. Just replace it with transphobic and this is that. 1 month after The Naked Gun, 33 and 1/3. Another joke comedy film. 5 months after Mrs. Doubtfire. Comedy film, but it was not intimidating or insulting anyone. It was literally a situation of what if a man was trying to keep custody of his kids and watch over them, and he decided to pose as a nanny. 2 years after The Crying Game is where you lost me, because 3 years after Silence of the Lambs, that's just them complaining about Buffalo Bill. That's based on a serial killer who loved his mother so much that he made a skin out of her and he crawled inside of it and wore it. But I focused on The Crying Game. You were claiming that a film about an Irish terrorist falling in love with a pre-op trans woman whom the screenplay never outs the reveal of, which is one of the reasons why it's a spoiler of the internet, including the interrogation scene where Whitaker specifically talks about the lover that he has being a woman and not being his type of woman that he'd fall for, is supposedly a take of transphobia. You think the presentation of the romance between the Irish terrorist and Dill is an example of transphobic media? Bruh, go, leave, get out, get out, get out! And that's the same thing you're doing here. I'm
removed from the APA in 2012 under the term gender identity disorder. And literally before anyone tries to frame pedophilia as another sexual orientation like homosexuality, I would posit that you cannot have a sexual orientation where the party you are attracted to is legally incapable.
I am in no way comparing the two. You are. I'm just trying to illustrate what we consider to be a mental illness can be updated. So what? And in the case of pedophilic disorder being a mental illness, explaining the reason behind any inappropriate actions, it does not excuse your behaviors. Then why are you doing that? You don't even have to make this argument. Talkie dust. You don't even have to make this argument. You can literally just say, listen, I don't like that other shit in the anime, but it's there, and I have to accept it if I want to watch it. You doing all this is just you trying to justify continuing to watch it. Cause I know you watch it. Oh, I know you watch it. You gotta do this, girl. You ain't gotta do it. You ain't gotta do it.
capable of giving consent 100% of the time. They are in no way comparable. If my theory is wrong and pedophilia is still categorized as a mental illness 10 or 20 or however many years from now, after more research has been done, then obviously I would prefer these people use drawings of child porn as an outlet and not actual child porn. If it is a mental illness and recovery were a possibility, then obviously I would prefer that over unnecessary incarceration. But that was not the point I was trying to make.
Yes, it was.
Also, as a disclaimer, I shouldn't even have to say this, but
Why are you giving more disclaimers? Shut up! Get to the goddamn point!
do not harass anyone. I specifically made this video to address how completely out of control online harassment has become. Do not use this video as an excuse to harass or bully or send death threats to anyone.
I wanted to address how bad people attack others. So I decided to isolate some comments that would then entice people to go looking. Pain!
The links to all my sources are in the description in case anyone would like to actually learn more about these issues for themselves. Otherwise, I am moving on. So this is actually a great way to segue into a topic that I wanted to discuss for a while, which is problematic media and everything that entails, like cancel culture, death of the author, how media we consume impacts reality. I promise you that I had parts of this script
Told you Death of the Author was gonna come up.
written months ago, and I did not furiously whip it up because a bunch of strangers were kind of weird in my comment section. But what I found interesting about
I didn't whip it up because of them, but they offered me a really good opportunity to take advantage of them. I couldn't help myself.
the negative responses was most people knew they couldn't outright defend the sexualization of Kana or Ilu's design because it would implicate them as siding with people who think that being sexually attracted to children is fine. Which some people still did do that anyway though, and those
No, that is a joke, and it's also cope of yours. You showing this again is cope, but no, you coming to them and telling them no, don't lose the dragon lolly is bro. I'm gonna lose the dragon lolly, and ain't shit you can do about it. It's fine. Those people exist, Nora. People who disagree with you are going to exist, no matter what. You're just going to have to accept it. If you're like me, you can use them as a great demonstration of showing exactly the logic and ego that you have in real time. Because y'all behave like this, both on and off the platform. You create these really good fronts here. But I know what you like. This person is demonstrating the point that I'm making. You can't stop them. So instead of stopping them and just focusing on what the thing you need to talk about is, you throw them in your argument because you want to be like, hey, I get the last laugh. I'm going to make people against you. You're going to be useful for getting people on my side. And the thing about that, Nora, is when you contract people to be warriors, all they know how to do is do war. You don't need warriors. You need scholars and thinkers. Because if you contract too many fucking soldiers for your war, they don't stop.
those people can leave, but most of them worded their grievances so that they weren't directly addressed.
Also, people won't listen to my opinions. But those people with the wrong opinions need to go! Get out! Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Do you want them to listen to you or do you not want them to listen to you? Can't have both ways.
Addressing the actual points that I made, but framed it so that the problem was with me and my perceptions.
Yes! You don't have to watch the anime. You can close your eyes.
Most common responses being some form of, it's just fiction, not reality, or if you
It is just fiction.
don't like, don't watch.
Yes! That's something you tell people all the time! Kelly Sue DeConnick is down bad right now. She yelled at people saying, oh, you thought comic books were never political? What have you been doing this entire time? They've always been political. If you don't like my books, don't buy them. Oh my god, people don't buy the books? The books aren't getting sold in trades? Oh, it's so bad. It's so horrible, guys. This is a video that was dropped in the middle of the week from just some guy. Oh, it was beautiful. I nutted when I saw it. Oh, vindication. Because this is the attitude that people like Moose Palm had for years. It's crumbing down around the head. It's all climbing, tumbling down, tumbling down, tumbling down. So it's got to be one or the other. If you decide to commit to that, This is gonna be you, Nora. All this. This your future. This your future. But at the same time, if you don't like it, you really don't have to watch it. No one made you watch Dragon Maid. You specifically wanted to watch it because you were horny. You wanted to watch a horny lesbian experience. And then they got titty all over your horny.
Which, wow, the scales have fallen from my eyes. Truly, how could I have been so blind? I am a human being that is clearly unable to distinguish fiction from reality. How silly of me. I wonder why all those people were so upset at the minstrel shows and the depiction of blackface when it's just a drawing after all. Art never has an
Now we're throwing in blackface.
impact on people, obviously. Like all those people upset at the Confederate.
Now see, this is a good point, right? Because a smart person would flip it back and say, hey, I can be against slavery, but I can keep my slaves. But no, instead of listening to the advice you're given, you're now jumping to comparisons that are already reaching. That have nothing to do with your point. Because you could argue, well, Carl, her point is that people were against blackface because minstrel shows were really bad. For those who were here for the digital blackface video made by that one girl who thought that people like Young Batch are men and women whose performances are derooted from coonery. I mean, you can make an argument and say that they're profiteering off the modern day form of minstrel shows. Black creators that use stereotypes to make comedy and humor. But, on top of number one, it's funny as hell. And yes, jokes are going to be problematic by nature. Racism is not the same as pedophilia, which is not the same as just general erasure of a people in society, in life, or chattel slavery. You're mixing your metaphors again, honey. Stay on task, honey.
Flags and statues in America? What? They're just statues in fabric. It's not like they're.
And at the same time, you're bringing this up because you don't actually have a refutal of that. You literally could just go outside, but instead you'd like to distract to something else that makes them feel bad for bringing it up. Which is a very common left tactic. It's also a very common right-wing tactic. Everybody does this. And it's still fake and gay when you do it.
Means anything. I mean, it's not like a drawn image can reinforce and perpetuate harmful ideologies to the people who see them, so much so that a government might even take action to ensure that depictions of those images have legal consequences. Oh wait! The phrasing of these comments are, I think, not meant to be a serious form of critique and are just supposed to put me on the defensive, but it is an absurd counter-argument because it completely closes the door for any critical analysis of any media. Like, out
No. It closes the door to stupid-ass arguments.
of context, don't watch seems like a reasonable statement. For instance,
If you don't like the game, don't play the game. If you don't like the show, don't watch the show. Nope! Still works!
I don't like superhero films. Nothing wrong with them, they just have oversaturated the market and I don't find them interesting. I don't like them, I don't watch them, and I don't spend days of my life critically breaking down their core themes or explaining to people why I don't like them because why would I? However,
Damn! I wonder why that is, Nora.
the problem was not that I did not like Dragon Maid. The problem was that it perpetuated harmful imagery of sexualized children, which is harmful to children. I liked The Promised Neverland, but its depictions of Sister Crone reinforced awful racist imagery of black people, which is harmful to—
No, what it did is that it used expressive faces to make memorable art. And that triggered you because the immediate thing you thought of when you saw a black woman in an anime was Jim Crow. Nora, that says more about you than it does about any person who ever watches your video or even listens to you speak. Work out your racism, girl. Or shit, just go down the street and talk to Malik and say you want him to blow your back out. Pick one of these things. Pick all of these things. Pick none of these things. I don't care. Stop lying.
the black people. The framing of "it's just fiction, not reality" at first seems so innocuous, asserting that whatever it's responding to as lacking common sense, unable to distinguish the difference between fiction and reality. But this is what you have to understand. Fiction does not equal reality, and media does affect reality. So let's unpack both of these statements, starting with fiction does not equal reality. I think the urge to use it's just fiction, not reality as a defense has increased in popularity, honestly due to the recent and frankly outrageous examples of online fans openly harassing and doxing content creators. Like former Steven Universe storyboard artist Jesse Zook having to delete their Twitter over some art that they made. Or fans of Voltron sending death threats to the cast and writers because of a pairing they shipped between these two characters. The reason being, some fans falsely accused the ship of being pedophilic, which, first of all, I don't think they even had canonical ages at the time, but I think Shiro has been confirmed to be 25 and Keith is 18, which is not what pedophilic means. So to a certain extent, I really understand why recently when people hear something or someone being accused of pedophilia, their first instinct may be to brush it off because the term has been thrown around loosely and incorrectly before, which can I
Who did that, Nora? Who are the people who did that? Who are the people who did that? Who watches these shows, Nora? Who's a part of these images, Nora? Who? Who was it? Who? I really want to know. Who was it? Who?
I just say it makes my job so frustrating. Like, when you hear about someone potentially committing a crime, your first instinct really shouldn't be, well, I bet people are just misinformed and overreacting. Part of the reason why this is happening more and more frequently is that social media gives fans a much closer window into the production process of their show in a way that has just never been a thing before, and because it's new, we don't have a way to regulate it. The thing is, the internet kind of tricks you into thinking you're not talking to a real person. It's the same logic behind road rage. Like, most of you would never tell a stranger on the street to kill themselves because you would see their face crumple and there would be direct consequences for your actions that you would have to take immediate responsibility for. But the anonymity of being online takes the pressure.
Well, let me stop you right there, Nora. There is no anonymity on the internet anymore. Journalists make sure that there should never be any anonymity on the internet anymore. If people had an anonymity, y'all motherfuckers would not act the way you do. But you do. This is probably not a take. It's probably Glacier's cold. But imagine how better Twitter would be if nobody could be able to profit off of it, number one. And number two, if it treated and handled more like a fucking image board. Imagine how less toxic it would be if the normal opinion was that celebrities had to not use their celebrity status to get attention, and they had to actually say something cool and interesting. Still have the same setup and everything, but just instead of check marks, you still just have to have actual usernames. And even though you have things in those usernames, you still have to be a person outside of it. Imagine how fucking painful that would get.
Pressure of consequences off of the accusers. It's the mob mentality where you can point as many fingers as you want, all while knowing that you have complete safety in numbers. Recently, there's been a worrying trend where young people online have started to adopt this perception that if a person likes X problematic thing, then they are automatically problematic in the same way, so it's okay to be mean to them. Which is obviously absurd, because that is not how human beings work. The ideology that we can only like media if it is perfect and completely unproblematic is impossible, because anything made by human hands is inherently biased and imperfect.
Okay, first off, you're showing images of kintsugi, which is the Japanese practice of repairing anything that shatters and breaks by using gold to fill the cracks, which then creates the product back being more beautiful than when it was broken because of the gold film that you use as glue, making it appear as such. That is not the image you should use from that, because that's not how you view things. If you really thought that, you would not be making videos about it. Dead ass. Whole ass. Entire butt cheek. Because then you would just say, oh, well, fuck. I don't like it, but somebody will. You just get stuck on the pedophilia argument. You're never able to accomplish this. Until it's something that you personally like.
Younger people already have a natural inclination to think in terms of black and white, good or bad, but they tend to grow out of it as their brains develop and start to realize that there are a lot of gray areas.
No, they don't! Y'all get to them too early. You tell them it's always problematic and they always have to call it out. Thanks, Anita.
People are not good or bad, they just do good or bad things. But there's a major flaw within that mentality because deep down, everybody believes that they're a good person. But you can be a good person that still does terrible things. Being a good person does not automatically excuse you from the critical examinations of your own actions and holding yourself accountable. Which is why these cases of online harassment are what I would describe as good people doing evil things because they believe it is right. But doxing, harassment, and death threats are never right or okay.
Again, who are the people who do that? I'll tell you the answer. It's leftists.
You can like a piece of media and dislike a certain aspect like the design or the opinions of the creator and still not harass them. It is just that easy. I can enjoy My Hero Academia and also dislike the way Horikoshi tends to sexualize his female cast and critically talk about those issues and still not personally.
No, you don't. Because the work already defines them as being a gremlin. You don't get points for doing the thing the work is already doing. Stop cinema sinning.
Attack him. And also, I may have understated this last time because I kind of assumed it was common sense, but because somebody watching right now might be a little younger and I don't know who needs to hear this right now, watching a show does not make you a bad person, period. You can't let yourself feel bad about something that you had no way of knowing about.
Watching a show doesn't make you a bad person. Watching a show doesn't make you a bad person. Watching it incorrectly does. That's what you're saying there. The real question is, who made you come to these conclusions? Because you didn't do that by yourself, Nora. There are specific internet figures who made this kind of behavior popular. How much influence do they have over your work? Say their names. Just a guess.
About. Full disclosure, part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I went through this experience with Rurouni Kenshin. I loved the story as a kid. I thought its themes were fantastic. I must have watched it all.
Honey, your experience is not unique. Everybody was like, what? Child porn? Bruh. I'm super good on that. I don't take the anime.
All the way through at least twice. And it wasn't until years later that the news about the author came out, and when I finally heard about it, I was upset and I felt gross for ever liking it in the first place. I knew that if I bought DVDs of his work or manga, that I had accidentally given him money that he might have used to purchase child porn. And that feeling was...
And that's why people pirate anime. There's also a reason why you should pirate anything you watch. Realistically. However, caveat. If you're going to pirate something, whether it be music, a video game, or show, the caveat is that if you enjoy what you're watching, and you don't have this kind of moral dilemma, you have a justified right and moral duty to speak about it by word of mouth. If you never give a single goddamn dime, you can talk about it. It costs you nothing. Other than the time it takes you to send a tweet, but it costs you nothing. If you play the game, and you get the experience of playing the game or watching the show, or consuming the product out of it, and you still want to sit on your fucking pedestal and say, oh, they're such a bad person, you can still do that. But you still have to live with the fact that you watched the material that you said was bad. You have to go with the blemish, honey. You gotta go with the blemish.
Very hard to reconcile with. But eventually I did because I can't hold myself accountable for information that I don't know. Knowing about it now and changing my actions in the aftermath is what is important. I understand why it's just fiction, not...
Also, let me chat real quick. Yeah, my teeth hurt. We have discovered self-image. Love how she's quick to defend the male shipping when it suits her. True. The sister from Promised Neverland was never exactly Mr. Popo. Twitter would be dead. The 4chan? Yes. I mean, that actually is. Kintsugi is literally built back better. Does she actually edit her own videos? Some of this shit feels like a miscommunication with her editor. I don't know. I don't know. Carl's culture is zoning out until you hear, you got titty on your horny. Rules for thee, not for me. We have discovered self-image, but when people critically examine me, it's wrong. Okay, let me defend Hokoroshi. These girls are actually age-appropriate in terms of body development. True. Especially when given that it's a school that would tend, with exception based on quirks, to have more fit students in general. To be fair, the manga has a bit more diverse body types for women, slightly more thick than some girls. That's actually a translation that they chose to do for the anime. Even though the characters are more thin in the manga, they chose to make them like that because I guess it makes it easier for them to draw. I don't fucking know. I enjoy it anyways. Watching a show doesn't make you a bad person. Now let me make videos implying that you are. Fandom moms do be the same. And you'd be surprised how many of those fandom moms are also fucking Fujos. The amount of Fujoshis that also love to sit in the position of being somehow better than you is alarmingly growing at an explicitly fast rate, because they're all getting groomed. I know when Carl watches stuff like this and he says, honey and sweetie, he's being ironic, but I still feel soft. Then vote with your wallet. If you feel bad about giving money to your creator, don't give them money anymore. This is why I don't buy Miyazaki films anymore, because he's a dickhead. I take responsibility for my purchasing power. Why would you take responsibility? You can go on the internet and you can cry about it. Ah. Why engage in the ethical behavior and consumption of capitalism when I can bitch about them on the internet? They call it content. Ding. But Carl, aren't you doing the same thing right now? Yes, but it's content. That's why I'm trying to get myself drunk, but I'll never get there. I'll never get there.
Reality is used to try and douse the fires of people getting upset and ruining people's lives over something that effectively matters very little. Whether your shit becomes canon or not is not worth ruining someone's life over. But
all right. Hold that energy. Hold that energy. Hold that energy. Hold that energy. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. God damn it. I'm trying to find the one that I made, but I can't find it. God damn it, do they not have the pictures of her while she's in the hospital? Probably not, unfortunately. I'm on the internet. God damn it. I guess they might have deleted all traces of shit off the internet. I remember they had a fucking article with pictures of her in the bed after the first and the second attempt in question, but it's not here. I'm looking for her, though. This page isn't loading. In any case, because Reddit's failing me. This will do. As you hold that energy, Nora, let me ask you, is it acceptable for a fandom of literally the people who watch the show to harass a sapphic female who drew a character too thin when literally the character design of that character is literally that? And was it acceptable for them not only to hound and harass her once, but then double down after they were found in the hospital, after they got them from the brink, to say, no, that bitch deserved to die, because now she didn't follow through, so she's doing it for attention? Do you think that was acceptable, yes or no? If yes, why is it acceptable for you to claim that that was not something that your side did? Because that's you. All y'all did that. That was your side. That was your political leaning. That was your personal leaning. Those are people who think like you, who think and watch the same shit as you, doing that. Same shit that happened in Voltron. Same group. You cannot take these problems and lay them at the feet of other people when this is literally you guys. Address the fact why it's you guys. Address the fact of why Lindsay Ellis will say on her live stream and mask off, no, this is the real mask off, and begrudgingly have to accept that the people criticizing and attacking her is her own audience.
only to go on to another interview and admit what we all know, which is that she's in terror of the people who watch her. Because she's a figurehead. Whenever she speaks, people use her as a cudgel or will blast her like a target. Address why that might be, Nora, and you're gonna come to a really big reality about your questions and your answers.
This is not the end of the conversation, and there are instances where it is worth examining problematic media, calling attention to the problems to the creator, and in some cases discontinuing your support for it because media does not exist in a vacuum and it affects reality. Lately, when people have this discussion about how fiction isn't reality, they always seem to neglect to mention the follow-up, which is fiction does actually affect reality. Which, this is not my opinion.
No, fiction can influence reality, not affect it. Reality can definitely affect fiction. You got it backwards, sweetie. If I write a book like 1984 that's meant to be a warning of how communists are going to subvert things, and then people don't ignore what the connotations are, they focus on the behaviors, not the allegory of action, they can realize when other people are committing the actions that are being criticized and mocked. Which is the reason why tyrants don't like people mocking them. Because if you're allowed to laugh at the criticism and sympathize with the criticism, which is, hey, look at the emperor's big stupid fucking face, something as simple as that, when they're allowed to laugh at you, you lose power over them. How do you maintain power over a person who you want to be afraid of you? You don't allow them to ever have the ability to speak about anything except in the terms and conditions in which you have set, which is exactly what an activist does, and exactly what left-leaning individuals do. Your ideology is so stymied in specific, explicit, literal interpretations of very, very minutiae things that if the words are in the wrong order, everything falls down. So it would behoove a person to figure out why that is, and reverse engineer it, to come up with ways of getting you stuck on the things you say you hate. And at the same time, my tooth is starting to act up. At the same time, focus on that energy and translate that into other things. And you're going to realize really quick how easy it is to just not.
This is a fact. One of the most notorious examples is the 1915 silent film Birth of a Nation. Some of you might be familiar with it because it single-handedly inspired the rebirth and resurgence of the KKK only a month after its release. And you might ask yourself, how did this happen? In the film, there is a black character played by a white man in blackface, and he pursues a white woman who is running from him because of his stated desire to get married. Under the presumed threat of sexual assault, she chooses to kill herself instead, and when the Klan learns about this, they lynch him. The framing of the film weaponized white women's sexual autonomy as something that was being threatened by sexually aggressive black men, and that white women were something that needed to be protected at all costs by white men.
Okay, but I want you to remind yourself, Nora. Remember all that shit you said earlier? And remember how you're showing it now? You're now guilty of showing people both an example of blackface and an example of historical racist films. Are you going to throw yourself on your sword now? I suppose not. I'm not going to make you do that, but that in mind. But then number two, people rallying around what effectively was a manifesto is not uncommon of a political movement. Granted, this political movement in question is an example of terrorism, but the Ku Klux Klan rallying around a literal propaganda film is what it is. Propaganda! So now ask me, why do you want me to expect to believe as though this is the same thing as, say, me sitting down and reading Twilight, and assuming, actually, yes, this is a wonderful political treatise of how I need to come inside teenage girls, while being an undead creature of the night, and or a werewolf. Gonna be a pretty hard sell, sweetheart. Gonna be a pretty hard sell.
Framed the Klan as heroic Proud Boys who were upholding white American justice by protecting their women, and that message resonated with a certain group of people. At the tail end of this—
Yes, racists! That just read propaganda! That told them what they wanted to hear!
Civil War, slavery was completely abolished in America in 1865, to which the KKK had originally been formed to as backlash, before being suppressed later in 1871. This was the first movie played in the White House, and it glorified the Ku Klux Klan by painting them as heroes, and now we still have to deal with the KKK being a thing up until 1944, and also literally now. Thanks!
No. No, Nora. No. No. Trump supporters are not KKK members. No. 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 White woman, why? Why would you do this? Why? A moment of silence for the 5 brain cells that I had that just imploded.
I hate it! If I tried to list every example of media that has had a traceable effect on reality, then I would literally be here all day. I could talk about Bambi causing deer hunting rates in the US to drop by half, the movie Fight Club being the impetus for New York's underground fighting circuit, George Orwell's works giving us a term to describe a very specific type of dystopia in a single word, Orwellian. Science fiction often has influence on actual scientific innovation and technology. Life
Yes, influence, not control.
imitates art. Because
No, art imitates life because life imitates art. Backwards! How are you getting these notable phrases backwards?
art affects humans, and it's
God damn it!
silly to say that
It's like the person who sat in the back of fucking writing class, who never listened to the goddamn lesson, and then went up to the board and explained everything backwards.
doesn't. When someone starts crying or laughing during an emotional part of a movie, informing them that the situation is not real is meaningless because their feelings are real. Obviously, humans are capable of critical comprehension, but we are not infallible, and media does inarguably have an effect on how we perceive reality in both positive and negative ways. This is why positive representation in media is so important. It's because, like it or not, it has a direct impact on the human experience.
Positive work, showing and listing what they're doing, and making an all-black film is not the same as having a message that is resonant in such a way that people connect to it. God damn it, how many times am I going to have to quote Kanye? If you can communicate the product, you can make money on the product. Black Panther is a product that is invented and designed to get you to buy into it. Period. 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 Underscore. Period. It doesn't exist as anything other than entertainment. If there was a deeper lesson to be had here, considering how much of Killmonger is literally just fucking Black Vegeta facing off against Goku. If you really wanted to tell a story, using Black Panther as an example, how black people have chosen to cut themselves off from what they consider to be the outside world, literally in the case in the film, the outside world, to be isolationists, and a person who's of the royal family comes from the outside and demands the reparations that he wants. The lesson to take away there is that violence in the past leads to violence in the present. So, violence has to be confronted with violence only to prevent future harm, but when possible and able, diplomacy is best. Imagine, instead of using the Panther abilities to create the situation that would lead to the predicable force and the moving, driving impetus of the film, T'Chaka just didn't. He brought them back to Wakanda, he tried his father for his crimes, and he allowed N'Jobi, N'Jaka, son of N'Jobi. He allowed N'Jaka to take his rights and his claim, and they played this shit out by the rules. Imagine if that was done. Imagine if he was honored instead of being dismissed. Imagine if you, instead of taking all these dumbass fucking spiritualistic tribal quotes that people love to say, like, it takes a village, or that the child will burn the village to feel its warmth, instead of doing that, why not think about it for half a second and realize what you're actually saying? Because yes, it is important for you to have proper interpretations of things, but it's not important for you to create propaganda about that thing. I wouldn't say you need to create good or bad media. I would just say create media that you want to see. If you have a black author who wants to write a story about supernatural hair that they put in their head as weave and call that movie Bad Hair, go ahead. I don't fucking care. Do it. It's anachronistic to begin with anyways. You can have it. It's yours. Take it. I ain't gonna stop you. Because it stands on its own. When you attach your arguments to things that at this point no longer fucking matter, like the MCU, I have to look at you and wonder, do you not understand that what you're literally saying is the exact point of taking propaganda and selling people's fat asses back to them? You're not creating media to create good interpretations. You're creating propaganda to continue justification of feeding them more propaganda. If you're going to make something that's going to help them, show something that's digging to a cutting social issue that goes across racial lines, but seen from the eyes of the person, or the persons, or the demographic, whom it affects most, and how that trickle effect spreads out like a spiderweb crack in a window seal. Show how it goes from point to point to point to point to point, if that's what you want to do and be pedantic about it. You can have it. Just be honest. Because this black-owned shit is getting on my goddamn nerves. Because you don't care about it being black. You don't even care about it being white. You don't even care about it being Latin. You don't care about experiences from demographics and groups. You just want content to consume that makes you feel good. So you don't have to think about the bad things in life. And worse, you'll use children to justify it. Surprise. The kids, they can hear lessons of all types. You just have to be like Don Bluth and make sure that it has an happy ending. You can have the most brutal shit happen on screen, but as long as there's a happy ending at the end, kids are gonna be alright and be fine and accept it. Especially if what they're looking for is Reddit engaging. Power Rangers and Toku has been doing this shit for fucking years, bruh. Where you been? Oh, you don't watch those media? You only watch what happens in the US? US has been doing this for fucking years, bruh. Where you been? I missed the keyboard.
Marginalized groups being humanized by television or film is not only good for those groups to see themselves represented, but
Oh boy, let's go back and look at these examples that she pulls.
media is so important. It's because, like it or not, it has a direct impact on the human experience. Marginalized groups being humanized.
So we have ourselves Black Panther, and then we have Steven Universe, a show not watched by kids, because we have the Nielsen ratings to show it. It's not watched by kids, it's watched by man-children.
By television
Owl House, another show watched by man-children.
or film is not only good for
The Good Legend of Avatar, the good one, which y'all have coked out of your brains to being bad because of horror.
those groups to
Full Metal Alchemist, which, okay, that's cool, but you do know that they represent a fictionalized Nazi Germany, right? That's what the alchemists are. They're Nazi soldiers. Serving under a feudal by the name of King Bradley. Literally, occultist Nazis using and doing alchemy and magic to try and create a never-ending perpetuation of war, so that homunculi that they created and are possessed by can stay alive and live forever. Bruh. 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 I don't think you want that one, Nora! I don't think you want it!
see themselves represented.
I don't know what this show is. Somebody will tell me, I assume, so they'll know whether or not this is correct or incorrect.
But because it also affects how other people perceive them.
TV portrayals of immigrants, real-life choices and attitudes, as of 2020. Norman Lear Center Media Impact Project. So an activistic firm.
Also, I never do this, but seriously, if anyone comments again on this video, it's just fiction, not reality, or if you don't like it, don't watch it. Do not harass them, but feel free to just call them out on not actually watching the video all the way through. Please, please be good. I am trusting you all on this. If you are mean about it, I will be very disappointed.
So, attack the people who I don't like. Because I said so. Because I assume they didn't watch the video. Alright here, I can see a person who left a comment. And a bunch of other people who have left comments. And I can see many of them making points that demonstrate their point. Especially considering the fact that this person is addressing something like your point on Death of the Author. And this individual is addressing the exact fact that they've been pirating for years. And this person addresses the fact that instead of saying, I cannot be held responsible for information I don't know, you should have said, I'm not responsible for the money once it leaves my hands. They're literally rebuking you. They aren't necessarily agreeing with you. They are criticizing you. And they're giving you points that demonstrate the point that you did not communicate yourself effectively. But I suppose since they didn't send the dreaded comment that you don't like, they won't be addressed and harassed. But what you just said was, harass my political enemies. Harass my political rivals. I can't type, my tooth hurts.
Alright, so in hindsight, obviously making a film right after the Civil War glorifying the Ku Klux Klan was a bad move. This movie probably shouldn't have been made at all. Not for any lack of trying, obviously. There were ultimately unsuccessful attempts to ban the film by the NAACP. Boston's NAACP and Trotter argued that the film was a threat to public safety, that it heightened racial tensions and could incite violence, which is exactly what it ended up doing. Thanks! I hate it! But creators can't always predict the scope of the consequences of what they're making until after it's too late. Once something has been published, you can never take it back. Take, for instance, the 1975 film Jaws by Steven Spielberg, which sparked a huge wave of fear and
God damn, that audio splice.
shark sentiment that have haunted human perceptions of sharks to this very day. This film ended up impacting the environment in a way that I don't think a lot of people are even quite aware of. Shortly after its release in the 1980s, when the sword fishery collapsed, fishermen decided to market the sharks, and the shark fin trade skyrocketed. Shark finning is a truly horrible practice, which involves cutting off a living shark's fin and throwing the animal back into the sea to slowly die. It is a ghoulish practice. Even though sharks are incredibly important to our ecosystem and you're more likely to be killed by a vending machine than a shark, this film undoubtedly warped many people's perceptions of sharks into monstrous killing machines.
Any shark expert in the world will tell you it's a killer, it's a predator. What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine. All this machine does is swim and eat.
But what I find fascinating is not just the audience response to this film, but the author's response to his new legacy. Peter Benchley, the author of the 1974 novel the film is based on, said, "Knowing what I know now, I could never write that book today, because sharks don't target human beings and they certainly don't hold grudges." Benchley was horrified by the anti-shark backlash, and especially by the surge of shark finning, and committed himself to the shark conservation movement until his death in 2006.
Okay, but people already knew this, Nora. People intimately know this fact, and this being the reason why things like shark attacks are being oversold, and how this is formulated into things like Shark Week. Not new. And the point that user made now is solidified, yes? But now you're trying to walk that shit back now that you said it. You started out, and now you have to follow through with it, and it just kind of just fucks everything else you're saying here. Not very good, Nora. Not very good.
So is that true? You feel like you couldn't write that novel now, Jaws, knowing what you know? No, gotta remember how long ago that was. It was
worse. What you actually said there is not a crime of the author. The author's not responsible for it. He's not responsible for the words on the page as people interpret it as they hear and read them. That's stupid people being stupid. They want to win that Darwin Award, they can win it.
There was no Earth Day when I was writing that book. There was no environmental consciousness at all. We assumed the oceans were forever. They were invulnerable to man. Nobody could do anything to really hurt the ocean. And so environmental sense really didn't exist, and nobody knew anything about sharks. Now, we still don't know a great deal, but what we do know, I couldn't demonize the animal.
Benchley couldn't have predicted that his novel would be adapted by Steven Spielberg and inadvertently create the summer blockbuster, or a generation of fear and animosity for a single animal. But he did change his actions in the aftermath, and that is so important. When authors create a story, you have to be conscious of what you are putting out into the world, because unintentional or not, you may end up changing or affirming people's opinion on reality. No one is going to be omnipotent, obviously, but this is why it's so important to do research to avoid falling into certain negative tropes or pitfalls. But it's the—
You mean like all the lack of research that you do when it comes to basic shit like anime that you should already know since you watch anime? Dumbass.
authorial response to falling into these pitfalls that I think is so important, especially when it comes to how we view and decide to use cancel culture. Because even with the best of intentions, writers are not perfect, and sometimes they will make mistakes, not out of deliberate malicious intent, but just ignorance. In The Adventure Zone, which is a Dungeons & Dragons podcast by the McElroy brothers and their dad, which I personally love, in one of the early arcs, the Dungeon Master, Griffin McElroy, accidentally stumbled into the bury your gaze trope, wherein one of his queer non-playable characters' story unfortunately ended in tragedy. And when people online told him about how that's kind of a loaded, shitty trope, he literally changed it and made efforts to not let that happen again. And he did, which he couldn't have done if he had been cancelled over it.
Don't cancel the people who I like, but do cancel the people I don't like. Who remembers Verona? Who remembers Far Verona? I made a TikTok about this. We're gonna look at my TikTok about this. It was great. Oh, there is this man who cosplays as a fucking big-ass fucking white vampire with dreads who accused me of a crime that I didn't commit. It was great. It was wonderful. It was really fucking stupid. Oh, where is it? Right here. Right there. One of them. Fucking one of them. Where did it start? Where is it? Where's the first one that started it? Right there. Rape is something that I would not use in a game because myself, I would find it uncomfortable. But if it's fun for someone else, why would I do this? This man's opinion was to say, yes, I would boot them out of my game and out of my life if that person did that. Because, you see, that's just ridiculous. One of the people on TikTok that like to clout chase a lot for attention. However, before the dumbassery that he would say, I would tell him this.
Yes, hi, hello. I'm SinglePlayerCarl. Keep that energy, Mando. I have some questions for you. Do you happen to be aware of the unironic and on-camera rape situation that was put into Var Veronica that led to its cancellation? Are you aware that this exact instance has already happened many times, not just in ALs, not just in home campaigns, but in public one-shots at various conventions?
For people who don't know, in Tabletop, when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, you can sign up for this thing called Adventures League. It's basically a situation where you sit down with an official Wizard of the Coast affiliated brand and you play Dungeons & Dragons with a moderator that also serves as your GM. It's like going to a live event where you have a saved character, basically.
And I want you to take a real good look at the screen. I want you to take a really good look and pay attention. I'm not talking about some random people playing the game randomly. These are celebrities. And this...
So, for anybody who was not aware, Var Verona had a situation where this voice actress, namely, if you don't know about her, Elspeth Eastman, really great voice actress, she was able to get the gig to replace the Tristana voice actor, and is the updated voice for her to this day. Did a bunch of her skins as well as the base model, and she's in a bunch of other shit. She's the voice actor in Crypt of the Necrodancer, and a bunch of other projects as well. She was playing her android character, Johnny Collins, and the DM decided to rape her character. And literally, the session ended on the completion of the rape, all the way to fruition. And the show collapsed. She left the campaign. This fucking host and this fucking host were fucking hung from their goddamn limbs, and everyone around them, in the circles around them, in the communities around them, fucking roiled them on the fucking fires.
This shit happened in the progressive squares, which I'm hoping you occupy. These are the kind of people who rub elbows with and work at Wizards of the Coast and are the ones leading the movement. Are you going to go up to them and pull their cards? Because I'd love for you to do that, because normal people don't do this. Granted, there are some strange weirdos that do that, but here's the question I have to your consideration. What would you do if the thing the player wants to do is get raped? If they want to be sexually assaulted? Are you going to do the same thing then? Of course, this is meant to be consideration for thought. I don't expect you to do that, but what I do expect for that player to do, and for you to do, is to tell them, this might not be the table for you, but I do know a couple of weirdos over there that like to get down like that on a Saturday. These things are serious discussions. These are not things to be said on TikTok for fucking clout, okay? Thank you. I'm going back to bike riding now.
This would devolve into this man accusing me of somehow being for rape, but the point I made there is clear. Same energy, follow through. Same energy, follow through. And he didn't do it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't stay on topic. Because he decided to go from, well, I don't want them at my table, to, well, any person who does that, they are a fucking social weirdo rapist. And I think that they are horrible. And the reason why I made it sure to mention, okay, so that's how you feel about the people who want to do rape. What about the characters who have a kink where they want that to happen to their characters? And they want to act that out in the safe, free, clear space where they're allowed to. Because that's what his entire point was. People are supposed to use this as a space where they would be whatever the fuck they want. And people who want to do that in the safety of a session, you can go there and look at his account if you want to. It's not hard to find. People want to do that in the safety of a session. If they want to commit an action like that, I don't want you near me. I don't want you near my loved ones. I'm gonna make it important for you to sit there with your thoughts. That's what this frame right here, over what I started from, is based on. He is singling out an individual for their comment. Because he wants to roast them about that. So I didn't say no shit. And he got mad. Beggar's belief, buddos. Beggar's belief. Again, another case example of it's okay when we do it.
The problem with cancel culture is that it removes any possibility of growth. That because of something someone said or did years ago, that they should be punished forever because the internet is timeless. It assumes
Yes, but what about those people who commented on something that they said they didn't like? Punish them, right?
that all problematic elements are created equally and have been intentionally created when often that is not true. Honestly, I'm not a fan of cancel culture as a whole because it is a complicated action that needs a careful case-by-case examination of each individual story.
No, it does not need a careful case-by-case examination. All that needs to happen is, hey, let's not cancel people and destroy their lives, but let's laugh at them. Laughing at a person for being stupid is not the same as trying to destroy their career because you're jealous of them or because you wanted to lie about them. Realize the difference. Realize the difference. I need to take my medication. My tooth is hurting way too much right now.
Circumstances, but it's often used as an almost automatic response to bully anyone for doing something you don't personally like. What I'm hopefully trying to get to the core of here is people shouldn't be canceled over just being ignorant or misinformed or because their work had an unpredictable effect on the people reading it. In Griffin McElroy and in Peter Benchley's case, their actions were unintentional and they made efforts to undo the damage they had done. However, what do you do when an author is deliberately creating a work with malicious content or conduct, when they have been informed of the harm that they are causing and still refuse to change? Well,
what do you do if a creator has a specific goal and dream and point in mind, and the woke mob howls and shrieks at them that they can't make that, and they tell them, listen, I do what I want. You're not the writer, I am. And does it anyways. Then! I accidentally clicked on Vegas Pro. Actually, no, this is just simplified. It's literally just no bad tactics, just bad targets. That's literally what it is. I was going to say something like, cancel culture is okay when it's people that I don't like, but really, it's really just no bad tactics, just bad targets.
that's when things start to get a bit messy. Death of the author. Death of the author is a term coined in a 1967 essay by Roland Barthes, which, to put it very simply, means that the authorial intent should have no impact on an audience's reading or interpretation of a text, which, frankly, I think people have been over-employing this idea lately because it's easy. It takes all of the responsibility off of the reader to do any further research or to examine a text outside of their own worldview.
There's no expectation for a reader to need to have to do a fucking discussion and lesson plan using Spark Notes before they're able to read the work or consume the product. They just read the work and consume the product. They don't need to do research about it, unless what they want to do is to try and arrive at some kind of a point about the media. And so they're watching it specifically to do that in mind, even if it's for the purposes of a review. By the by. Because the reason why you're doing a review, or the reason why you're laughing at something, or the reason why you think it's cringe, requires a cause and an effect. In order for me to know the cause, I need to know the effects that it's had. Or in order to know the effects, I need to know what the cause is. It's like biopsying a piece of matter and taking it to the lab and analyzing it to figure out what it is. Imagine attempting to tell this to a screenwriter. And you tell them, no, you can't make that. You'll be canceled for it. They're going to laugh at you and probably do that thing, and it'll probably be bombocious about it while they do it. Why bother? Eh.
Much like canceling, I think death of the author cannot be used as a catch-all. It needs to be applied in a case-by-case basis. Like, H.P. Lovecraft was racist even for the time he was born in, but he's dead. Buying or engaging with his work is probably going to be harmless. By buying or reading his work, you are not giving your money and support to a person who you know to be racist. It's going to his estate or whatever. You can read the text and not know the name of his
Oh, shit! Holy fuck! How do you have this take about Lovecraft, but you don't have this take about Rurouni Kenshin? Now I'm wondering who edits her work.
by racially loaded aspects that are in the text. And I guess if I'm talking about death of the author, then I also have to mention J.K. Rowling, which I know, I am also sick of hearing and talking about this. I promise I will keep it quick. If you just examine the text of Harry Potter, you're not going to find anything really offensive in there. In hindsight, there are some interesting things worth noting, like the stairs to the Gryffindor girls' dorm forcibly denying entry to any biological male students, which, would that exclude trans women and non-binary folks if it's only going by biological gender? And there is no non-gendered word for magical person, only the binary witch or wizard. Knowing nothing of J.K. Rowling's personal opinions, you could probably enjoy Harry Potter guilt-free. However, you would have had to have been living under a rock to have not have heard about her recent transphobic tweets that started as late back as December in 2019 and then culminated in a string of her doubling down in June of 2020. Because that was what we needed in June of 2020. A millionaire author telling trans people that she would be on their side if they were being discriminated against. What do you mean if? You are literally discriminating against them right now on the basis of them being trans. I'm not going to unpack everything she said. That's not what this video.
How is she discriminating against her? And also, you actually have to. You've accused her of something that didn't happen, when in actuality what happened is, one, a mixture of J.K. Rowling trying a very wild business strategy, which is pandering to an audience of people, and then number two, that audience of people attacking her when they didn't pander correctly. That's the reality of what happened with Rowling. She pandered to an audience of people by giving them nice little snippet tidbits, little breadcrumbs like, ooh yeah, I didn't say that Hermione was white. She could be black. Please, go watch The Cursed Child, guys. Come on. Yes. And then, hey, Screaming Myrtle was a lesbian. You don't know if I'm right. You don't know if I'm wrong. You can interpret the scene for yourself and find out. You don't know about the other shit I did. You know, maybe somebody in this was trans. Maybe someone was trans. Hell, maybe even Voldemort was trans. You don't know because you have to read and find out. She did that with the wrong audience, who will literally read everything under that interpretation, while at the same time having the wrong political opinions. Then people started trying to attack her. Then you got mad because you realized, actually, wait, she's a millionaire. Then you decided, wait, let's take her work from her. And then you realized, fuck, we can't take the work from her. Let's disassociate. She is no longer the owner. The new owner of Harry Potter is Hatsune Miku. That's all I can really manage there. I guess, but it's not true. I know the truth. But okay, that's how you think it has to be, but it doesn't. I'm having difficulty believing you. You've lied, and you've made excuses for yourself so many times to be a hypocrite. I can't. I'm sorry.
Video is about. If you want to know more, Lindsay Ellis and ContraPoints have both made excellent videos about this already.
No, I will not watch them. Fuck you.
J.K. Rowling being a TERF, a trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Ah, yes, and now here comes the TERF shit.
And using her platform of millions of people to demonize trans women. By doing this, by spewing hate speech towards trans people under the thinly veiled...
Hate speech.
guise of scientific evidence and feminism, she is putting a marginalized group who are already in a vulnerable position more at risk. Statistically, trans women were already more likely to be victims of assault because of transphobia. And
Hold that thought, but I'm gonna let you finish.
J.K. Rowling's tweets are normalizing and excusing that behavior to millions of people. Between 2019 and 2020, anti-trans hate crimes have increased 16% according to the UK's Home Office. This surge can be attributed to an increase in reporting, but it is also influenced by the increasing hostility in UK-wide media towards trans identity and communities. And knowing all of this, I cannot support her. To be clear, I'm not going to harass her, I'm just not going to engage with anything she makes. And I'm not going to spend money on her work because one of the charities she supports could be anti-trans, and I don't want to even indirectly contribute to harming trans people.
And you can't apply that same logic to the media that you watch. Jesus fucking Christ.
I loved Harry Potter as a child, but I'm not a child anymore, and I care more about trans rights than I do about a book.
I care about trans rights. This book is everything wrong with trans acceptance, so we have to burn it.
About wizards. Alright, so hopefully I'm starting to make my point clear here about why this is so important, and why the decision to use cancel culture is a spectrum that should be used carefully.
It shouldn't be used at all, Nora! It shouldn't be used at all!
If you think about it as a line chart, then dead people would be in the middle. Like, nothing is going to happen if you cancel them. You can enjoy their work, but you may want to know ahead of time if they were an asshole just so you weren't surprised by it. And on the far left, I would put people who literally have done nothing wrong. And then next to that, I would put people who did a bad thing, but unintentionally, and they tried to fix it afterwards. Griffin McElroy and Peter Benchley would be here. Oh, and also Nintendo during the Jinx controversy and the Porygon episode accidentally triggering seizures. Like, they messed up, but they completely took responsibility for their actions and changed them in the future to try and repair the damage as best as they could. And then we get to the midpoint where this person was kind of a dickhead, but he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Like, you gotta use your own personal judgment for these. Like, is canceling them even worth it? Will it accomplish anything? Is the book that they wrote still perpetuating harmful ideologies? I don't know. And then finally, on the right side, we get to a person did or said a bad thing a long time ago. Again, you have to consider the context of when the statement or action was made. If it was brought to light, did they apologize sincerely? Are they in a position of power? Because maybe they shouldn't be. And then next to that, I would put people who are promoting hate speech or donating money to hate groups. People like J.K. Rowling and Orson Scott Card actively being transphobic and homophobic are hurting the LGBT community, and they shouldn't be supported. And then all the way on the right, where this person absolutely should be canceled, is people who do a actual crime, like the author of Rurouni Kenshin possessing 100 DVDs of child porn, or Tatsuya Matsuki, the writer of the manga Act Age, groping a middle schooler. Alright, so I don't know how much clearer I have to be about my opinion.
Let's address this fucking chart for a second.
Vietnam. A time comes when, if you don't, you are supporting the behavior this person absolutely should be canceled, is people who do a actual crime, like the
God damn it.
author of Rurouni Kenshin possessing 100 DVDs shouldn't be supported. And then all the way on the right, where this person absolutely should be canceled, is people who do a actual crime.
Settle out the frame. Bar drops. Not dropping.
Person absolutely should be canceled is people who do a actual crime, like the author of Rurouni Kenshin possessing
100 DVDs of child porn, or Tatsuya Matsuki, the writer of the manga Act Age, groping a middle schooler. Alright, so I don't know how much clearer I have to be about my opinion on this issue. When an author you like does a crime, and I mean like a crime that hurts people, not something like shoplifting or embezzlement or whatever, you should withdraw your support from them because, like it or not, if you don't, you are supporting the behavior that crimes are okay if that person is famous enough. You may have heard a version of silence is a form of approval used in reference to social reform. There's a version attributed to Plato. There's a version commonly incorrectly attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but is actually by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, an American author and poet. To sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards of men. But my favorite is by Martin Luther King Jr. from his speech on the war in Vietnam. A time comes when silence is betrayal. I cannot, under any circumstances, understand how people still try to separate the art from the artist in circumstances like Nobuhiro Watsuki.
So, her entire spiel there effectively comes down to, if you don't scream about the topics that I care about, you're an evil person. Yeah, no, kick rocks.
The author of Rurouni Kenshin, after knowing what he's done. Why would you still want to read anything this guy made after knowing that? Why would his story be more important to you than his consumption of media of children being sexually abused?
Because they haven't read Rurouni Kenshin? It's really that simple, Nora. Hey, I never read this manga before. The author did what? Damn, that's wild. Damn, look at this fucking art, bro.
Please try to conduct yourself with a little bit more empathy.
Is this a result of a lack of bullying? I don't know. Probably.
How to move forward.
It's the lack of personal bullying.
It's just fiction, not reality, is comforting. It is easy to think that there is no harm being caused by the media you are consuming because to you personally, it may not feel like there is any harm done. Anecdotal evidence like you watched a murder mystery and did in fact not murder anyone misses the point because the problem is not the individual impact, it is the collective. Most people who watched Birth of a Nation were not impacted, but some of them were, enough to cause the resurgence of the KKK. I think
people who watched this film and wide mass appeal audiences watching propaganda felt that the propaganda was good to make a point on that making a political treason a party. Whereas those who saw it and didn't care about it don't even remember what it is they watched. And that's what's wrong with society. Oh my fucking god.
that to a lot of anime fans, this is a very uncomfortable reality, which is what makes it hard to accept. Nobody wants to believe that a show they are watching ended up contributing to the normalization of child abuse or general sexism, because if they are an American, they did not see it affect them, and unless they are willing to do research and look further into it, they won't see how it's impacting Japan either. It's easy enough for some guy to dismiss my argument by making a comment about how Japan has one of the lowest accounts of rape, so the repeated fetishy depictions of assault in super popular anime like Goblin Slayer or Sword Art Online is totally fine. And yes, that is a true statistic that is easily Googleable, but it is a misleading statistic if you aren't willing to do any more follow-up research. Because if you did, you would find articles describing that Japan's rape statistics actually increased by 27% in just the first half of 2018, reaching more than 1.3 thousand cases. The reason for this being is back in 2017, the definition for rape in Japan was strictly only defined as forced vaginal intercourse, but it was updated to include other forms of sexual assault and also men as rape victims, which up until that point had been excluded entirely. The revision also eliminated a requirement that the victim needed to file a criminal complaint before a case could be prosecuted. All this to say, it's not that Japan magically had less rape cases, it's that they were being underreported.
And what do you think happens, Nora, if when a person decides that they wanted to get a cash out for doing something like this, go to the police and say, help, help, I was raped, and then it turns out in the investigation, not only did they lie, but they framed them. What do you think is supposed to happen then? Is it something that you're willing to bet if you were the victim? Is it something that you're willing to bet if you were the perpetrator? Who benefits in this scenario? It's so fucking...
Addressing these kinds of issues, you also have to consider that Japan has a long history of personal shame culture that tends to blame incidents like these as some kind of personal failing of the victim. In 2016, a government survey indicated that nearly a third of Japanese women have been subjected to sexual harassment at the workplace, including inappropriate touching and unwarranted advances. Nearly 2/3 did not make any complaint about the harassment, either formal or informal.
And how many percentage of men experience this? How many? How many, Jay? I just want to know how many. Dumb.
Approximately 1 in 10 who did complain were penalized for having done so, including suffering demotion. And again, I am not talking about this because I think America is some bastion of moral integrity, or because I want to shut down this one commenter, but I am just so tired of people desperately trying to make arguments about things that they know nothing about and aren't even willing to do any more research
You mean like you?
into it or even change their viewpoint when confronted with new evidence.
You mean like you?
I feel like truth coming out of her well to shame mankind. Ugh. Because these are such uncomfortable topics, no one really wants to talk about it, let alone listen.
Oh no, people like me are willing to talk about it and tell you exactly how dumb you are.
Especially not on a platform like YouTube, which has historically pushed women out of the creative space for, you know, voicing their opinions.
There it is again! Hatred of women! The reason we don't talk about it is because we hate women! Yeah! There's not enough alcohol. I literally have the excess of $100 of alcohol in my bedroom, and there's not enough booze!
The horror. Many people just use anime as an escape from reality, and they aren't thinking critically about the deeper ramifications of the media they are consuming. They just want—
Yes, they want to be entertained, and they're not trying to think about the ramifications of how much titty they've been looking at. They want to see some titty. They can think about it later, after the post-nut clarity.
I see someone get punched in all its beautiful animated glory. And if that's the case, just use piracy, please. If you really want to separate the art from the artist, just don't give them your money, at least.
Oh, good! I'm glad you agree with me! Wonderful! Jesus Christ.
Also, to touch one last time on Dragon Maid, and then I never want to think about this again.
Pass you the bottle? No problem, bro. I got you. Dig in. That's gonna be a meme, isn't it?
I know the animation industry is hell, and I know KyoAni is still recovering from the damage caused by the arson attack, and if you want to support the anime production team, because in truth, the content of what they are adapting is not their fault, and the only way to do that right now is to watch Dragon Maid S, then sure, yes, absolutely do that if that's what you think is right. Life is complicated, and there is no one right way to live it. We just have to do the best we can with what we have.
Except when you say differently, in which case your right way is the only way, and fuck everybody who doesn't do it.
Since media does have an effect on reality, and the things that an author says or does can create real harm in the world, then as consumers, how are we supposed to engage with media? If we cannot blindly enjoy everything, must we cancel everything? No. What? No. What? At what point did I ever even? How would you reach that conclusion? The thing is, in life, you're gonna.
You reached that conclusion as what you thought was a joke. But unironically, you just said the point that I made earlier.
Since media does have an effect on reality, and the things that an author says or does.
If media has an effect on reality, and authors have an effect on people because of what they choose to create,
can create real harm in the world, then as consumers, how are we supposed to engage with media?
If we consume and buy their product and support them with their business, how do we justify being able to enjoy the things that shouldn't be, but is required and necessary in order to be a hero?
If we cannot blindly enjoy everything, must we cancel everything? No. What? No. What? At what point did I ever even? How would you reach that conclusion? The thing is, in life, you're gonna come across a lot of shit you don't like, and you're gonna have to make compromises. Unless you're a white cis het man, like I mentioned in my isekai video, you have to compromise to enjoy the majority of media you interact with. At best, you'll be underrepresented, or worse, represented in a way that drives you fucking nuts. There are things that really bother me in hero.
They don't care about it. They wouldn't care in the first place, and I bet they don't.
Academia. I don't like that Mineta is basically a walking plot device to create fan service of the girls. I don't like that the default for female heroes tends to be sexy, and I don't like that the girls never get as much limelight as the boys. But I know this show was made for teenage boys, and the pros generally outweigh the cons for me. I know myself.
I know that they're doing it for a purpose and a reason, but I'm still gonna bitch about it anyways because I don't like this character.
And I know I can engage with media quickly, and I know that I'm not going to accidentally start objectifying women after watching Hero Academia, which is why at the end of the day, I cannot tell you what is good or bad. You've got to use your own judgment. With something like Studio Trigger's work or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, my expectations going in have to be a little bit different because of the kind of off-the-wall storytelling they encompass. I can't hold
Yes, it's the kind of bombastic storytelling that makes it acceptable, not the fact that it's just beautifully entertaining the way that it's been presented. Nora, you are doing something that is usually impossible, which is finding a way to put me to sleep, but really I'm just sitting here thinking with my eyes closed, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, you're dumb.
His work from 1987 to the same standard as the 2000s, or even now because the landscape they were made in is completely different. Problematic is a vague word that is used very broadly. We have words for being openly racist or sexist or transphobic, but referring to any of these things as merely problematic is kind of like referring to a dumpster fire as, ooh, that's a little bit toasty. If something is problematic, it means that there's a problem. It may be a small problem you're willing to overlook, or it may not even be obvious until you examine the context around it. Or personally, it may not even bother you at all. But you should still know that it's there. And if someone tells you a thing is a problem, maybe don't shut them down immediately, and also do your ding-dang research. Canceling someone sounds so final and terrible, I think in part because some people do use canceling as an excuse for online harassment, which do not do that. Cannot understate that enough. I do not care what they did. Never send anyone death threats. But really, if you're wondering if you should cancel someone.
What about harassment? What about lying about them as part of media? What about presenting a live stream where you do this exact same thing as what you would have done in a video? What about using that video as justification for their behavior and justification for laughing about their death like a ghoul? Actually, they didn't do anything now because they're already dead. Hey, knows. If I could collect papers from around the room like a professor, I would. Just to see what the students wrote.
All you have to do is just not engage with their work in a way that monetarily supports them. I loved Rurouni Kenshin as a child, and I loved Harry Potter, but I can't love them anymore, and that's fine. I would ask yourself, What really do you lose by choosing not to engage with a piece of media? In the end, after all, it's just fiction, not reality. You've lost one story that you will no longer finish. It may seem hard at first, but there are billions of other stories out there that haven't been written by racists or actual criminals. I can lead you to the water. I can tell you where the water comes from, that humans need water to live, why it's important to conserve water and keep it clean. But I cannot make you drink the water. You gotta make that choice for yourself. Hey y'all. I see that there are more than you than last time. To the new subscribers or the people who started following me after the Dragon Maid video and got this far, hi, welcome. Yes, the irony of me briefly mentioning that I hope the Dragon Maid video was not your first video of mine, being the thing that introduced what is now the majority of my subscribers, is not lost on me. Also, I really am not exaggerating when I say that your support makes this all worth it. Like, I mean, not to get too real or behind the scenes or anything, but I've had my YouTube channel for almost a year and a half now with, you know, what I would call a decent modicum of success. But at the rate I was going, if something like this hadn't happened soon, I would have had to have quit. So thank you, genuinely. The next video of mine is going to be something completely self-indulgent and casual about Sailor Moon because, I need a little bit of a break. Like, I'm fine. These more analytical videos take a lot more work. I knew to expect some backlash on the Dragon Maid video, so I'm not surprised. It's mostly just interesting. Shout out, though, to the one guy who literally commented, this is why women shouldn't be Anitubers. So just in case you're wondering why there aren't a lot of us, it's because we are being deliberately pushed out of the space by this kind of general harassment. That being said, this is why I specifically made a playlist of women who create video essays, not just on anime, but on anything. If you're looking to support more women, please check it out. I personally enjoy whatever the Sin Squad makes, and Rowan Ellis is also pretty cool. Alright, I'm signing out, and I just want to let you know that everything is going to be okay. Alright.
That was the end of the video. Jesus Christ. I didn't even fucking notice! Oh, fucking Christ. Oh, that hurt. Well then. She did indeed hand a happy note that I just thought she just was pausing and showing extra shit on the screen. Holy shit. Not a tumor. That's an experience. That's what I call exhaustion. Fucking. Fuck. Fucking fuck. Now you have to lay down after that. Oh god. Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. When I get back up, I shall be playing a new save file in Darkwood, so that we can apply what we learned last time. Pour one out for our brain cells. If I pour out any more for the brain cells, I'm not gonna have the ability to use my legs. I'll be awake, but I won't be able to use my legs. Which is good, because my bed's right there. And my camera's cooking. There we go. I am deceased. Gone. Finished. No problem, Knight. Oh my god. Oh! Fuck me! Fucking